Ah, the suburbs, where dreams are made, white picket fences are painted, and sometimes a husband decides that instead of divorcing his wife, it would be so much easier to just kill her. Merry Christmas. Yes, today we're talking about the tragic murder of Laci Peterson, a nationally beloved pregnant woman who was murdered by her husband Scott, a fertilizer salesman who seemingly thought the best way to publicize his business was to be its mascot as the ultimate piece of shit. Our story begins on Christmas Eve 2002 in Modesto, California, when 27-year-old Laci Peterson, who was 8.5 months pregnant with their son Connor, was setting out for a walk with their dog Mackenzie. Now, Scott, who could have spent the holiday, helping wrap gifts, seasoning the Christmas ham, or walking the goddamn dog himself, instead made the supposedly spur-of-the-moment decision to go fishing 90 miles away because he said it was too cold to stick to his original plan for the day, golf. Now, call me dramatic, but if it's too cold to golf, isn't it probably too cold to go fishing? On open water, where it will definitely be colder and you can't move at all to warm up while you speed into the open wind? But okay, Scott, you color outside the lines and that feels fun. Let's see where this goes. Scott said he returned home from fishing later that day to a curious scene. The door unlocked, Laci's car and purse there, the dog roaming around in the yard with just its leash, but no sign of Laci. While this would send most reasonable people into a panic, Scott has different ideas. First, he washed his clothes, sus. Second, he eats some pizza. And third, and I don't know why, but this is just how you know he's a murderer, he washes it all down with a tall, cool glass of milk. Have you ever seen an adult drink milk without looking like a murderer? Hey, guys, give me a thumbs up if you're about to kill your neighbor because their dog won't stop barking. That's unfortunately what I thought. Anyway, only then, after Scott's snack and spin cycle, does he call Laci's mother to casually mention that her daughter is missing. As the search for Laci begins, Scott seems to make a bizarre and chaotic commitment to looking as guilty as possible. He avoids the media at all costs, declines a polygraph he had previously agreed to, saying he's now too upset, and when Detective Alberchini asks him if they can do a second and more thorough search of the home, he replies, "Where's the trust, Al?" Because everyone knows the #1 lesson in police school is to always ensure murder suspects feel like they're cozy in a trust fall. Meanwhile, police were also collecting evidence that was starting to show a slightly different narrative about Scott's super spontaneous fishing trip. According to receipts, he bought his boat on December 9th, something that he just happened to tell nobody in his life about. On December 20th, with 4 days of advanced thinking, he buys a fishing license for sturgeon, a fish that is not at all in season in the area he's trying to fish in, nor does he have the proper bait for. Let's just say, ending a San Francisco Bay fishing trip in December having caught a sturgeon is like ending a December Hallmark movie with a woman deciding she's happy being single in the big city. Yes, it could happen, but it never has. Also poking a hole into the he's just getting prepared for a hobby storyline was Scott's computer search history, which showed shortly before the murder he was looking up direction of the bay tides. Just, the kind of information you need if you were planning to drop something heavy in the water that you don't want to wash back ashore. Along those same lines, evidence from his warehouse suggested Scott made as many as 5 homemade concrete anchors. However, police could only locate one, leaving obvious questions about what the other 4 were used for. And lastly, police found a pair of pliers on Scott's boat with a single long black hair wrapped around them that the FBI said was consistent with Laci's. Now listen, all of this is obviously bad, but men can be dumb, ill-prepared fishermen without being murderers, and having a hair of your wife's basically anywhere is arguably coincidental. But 6 days after Laci's disappearance, things took a turn and Scott's whole grieving husband persona got blown out of the water when a call came in from none other than Scott's girlfriend, Amber Frey. Here's a so dumb you want to die quick timeline recap of Scott and Amber's relationship. November 20th, Scott and Amber start dating after being connected by a work acquaintance. Scott tells Amber he's not only single, but has never been married before. Early December, a friend of Amber's hears that Scott is married and tells him that he has to tell Amber or that she will. Come on, blackmail, you better dance, bitch. December 9th, Scott confesses to Amber that he had, past tense, had been married, but that he had lost his wife and was about to spend his first holiday without her. Let me repeat that. On December 9th, the same day he secretly bought his murder boat, he told his mistress his wife was already dead. Fortunately for police, after Amber realizes she's been taken for a wild ride by Scott, she agrees to suit up and become one of this story's heroes by continuing to talk to Scott as though she's clueless about Laci and recording all of their phone calls, something that, as we'll see, proves to be a big nail in Scott's proverbial coffin. On January 6th, on a recorded call, Scott finally admits to Amber that his wife is missing and that he's been lying to her. And shortly thereafter, when the National Enquirer catches wind of the story, Amber holds a press conference in late January acknowledging her relationship with Scott and promising to cooperate with police to do whatever she can to help find Laci. Scott, after seeing Amber go public and vouch to help find that lady he killed, leans in further to his date with delusion that he and Amber will be together forever, and calls Amber on a still-recorded line to say,
"I was so proud of you when you did that. It was amazing. You have an amazing character." I pulled over and threw up when she cried.
Feeling the heat on his back, Scott finally does a disastrous interview with Diane Sawyer where he tries to gaslight the hell out of her by saying he told police about Amber immediately, saying Laci knew about Amber and didn't mind.
Do you really expect people to believe that an 8.5-month pregnant woman learns her husband has had an affair and is saintly and casual about it?
And most troubling of all, he refers to Laci in the past tense despite there being no evidence at that time that she was dead. Behind closed doors, he was also discovered to have sold Laci's car and to be using the nursery where his newborn son should be living as a storage room. In mid-April, the grim day everyone suspected was coming arrived when the two bodies were found, later identified as Laci and her son Connor, washed ashore in the San Francisco Bay, exactly where Scott claimed he was on that spontaneous Christmas Eve fishing trip. Scott, who at this point had dyed his hair and beard a jarring shade of blonde and was living with his family in San Diego suspiciously close to the Mexican border, is pulled over and arrested on April 18th. And in his car were 8 things of interest. Now, just for comparison, here's 8 things that are currently in my car. Napkins, hand sanitizer, car chapstick, a pen, an umbrella, a beach chair that I've never used but like to know I could, a water bottle from 2021, and 1 random Celine Dion CD. Just to be clear, the random part is that it's a CD, not that it's Celine Dion. Tragically, I only have disc 1 of 2, which is the better of the 2 discs, but I can't listen to Love You More, and yes, that is hard for me. Okay, now here's what Scott had in his car. Almost $15,000 in cash, 4 cell phones, multiple knives, Viagra, a shovel, rope, his brother's ID, and credit cards belonging to multiple family members. Now, you tell me, which one of us feels like a murderer here? It's me, I know, for losing track of disc 2. Unlike Scott Peterson, I can't admit that I was wrong. Anyway, when Scott went to trial, it was, as expected, a media circus. At first, the prosecution admittedly struggled. The reality is there's little to no concrete evidence. There actually literally is concrete evidence. Okay, never mind. There's little to no hard evidence that links Scott to the murder. There's no DNA or murder weapon. There's no witness. There was a robbery across the street from the Petersons' house that we don't have time to talk about, but that the naysayers love to try to connect to Laci's murder. There was a whole bit about Martha Stewart and meringue that came up that I also don't have time to talk about, but was a very weird but real win for the defense. But ultimately, all of that didn't matter when Amber Frey took the stand and the recorded calls were played. Most notable were 2 moments. One, a recording on New Year's Eve where he calls Amber from Laci's candlelight vigil and tells her he's calling from the Eiffel Tower in Paris, tells her how beautiful it is there, and asks her what his New Year's resolution should be.
Very good.
It's pretty awesome. Fireworks there for the Eiffel Tower. The people all playing American rock songs. It's pretty funny.
And second, side-by-side photos from 2 different Christmas parties held on the same night, December 14th. One that showed a pregnant Laci Peterson alone, and one that showed Scott Peterson off living in the fantasy of what he hoped would be his new life with Amber. When all was said and done, the jury found Scott guilty on all counts for the murder of both Laci and Connor Peterson, and he was sentenced to death, though that was overturned in 2020, with him being resentenced to life in prison without parole. Bye, Scott! So, what did we learn here? Drinking milk as an adult is super murdery and should be admissible in court as evidence of guilt. Hallmark doesn't think single women can be happy at Christmas. And if you're a narcissistic husband who still thinks murder is easier than couples counseling, maybe don't commit the crime 90 miles from your house and then tell everyone you were there. Quick reminder, if it's your first time, that this video is neither investigative nor journalistic. Its only purpose is to mimic the length of time it takes you to avoid your thoughts while eating a salad you wish was something better, or while eating the something better that you feel guilty isn't a salad. Either way, if you like this video, finish that bite, hit subscribe, comment below with which of the 8 things in your car most make you seem like a murderer, and I'll see you in the next one.